Chapter 2174. Many people turned to look at Lu Ming. Lu Ming looked very young, but his strength was unfathomable. Previously, he secretly helped Zhuang Xiaoshan and was able to crush Li Ke. How strong was his cultivation? However, his tone was too arrogant. He actually asked Sakura to wash his neck and wait for death. He was too arrogant. Many people secretly shook their heads, thinking that Lu Ming was just spouting nonsense. Thank you, Senior, for your help. Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro walked over and thanked Lu Ming. At the same time, they were also surprised. They had never seen Lu Ming before, so they didn't know why Lu Ming helped them. Follow me, Lu Ming said. After that, he turned around and walked out of the city. Qiu Yu followed Lu Ming. Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro looked at each other and followed Lu Ming obediently. Soon, they were out of the city and came to a remote place. There was no one here. At this moment, Lu Ming stopped and turned around. You two little guys, long time no see, Lu Ming said with a smile. Now, he didn't disguise his voice and returned to his original voice. Hearing this voice, Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro's body shook violently. Their eyes widened in disbelief. Then, the disbelief turned into endless joy. Master, is it really you? Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro asked in surprise. Lu Ming smiled. His appearance began to change, and he returned to his original appearance. Looking at Lu Ming's appearance, which had not changed much over 10 years ago, the two of them trembled even more violently. Master, you're back. The two spoke incoherently, especially Zhuang Xiaoro. She was so emotional that she cried. Still crying? How old are you now? Lu Ming smiled and wiped away Zhuang Xiaoro's tears. After a while, the two siblings finally calmed down. Master, when did you come back? Why didn't you tell us? Zhuang Xiaoro smiled. I just came back not long ago. When I came back, I discovered that the world had changed greatly. I was afraid that you would be controlled by Yuan continent's experts, so I didn't transmit my voice to you. I wanted to secretly gather information. Lu Ming said, and then asked, what's the situation now? Are Xiaowan and the others okay? And my parents? Senior Xiaowan and the others have always been controlled by the Emperor clan, forced to work for the Emperor clan. On the other hand, Grand Preceptor Master and Grand Preceptor Madam are fine. They are not far from here. Zhuang Xiaoshan said. The Grand Preceptor and Grand Preceptor Madam he was talking about were Lu Ming's parents. My parents are not far away? Lu Ming was delighted. Great Grand Preceptor Master and Great Grand Preceptor Master's cultivation base is relatively weak. Therefore, the Emperor clan didn't care about it and left Dragon Emperor City long ago. Now, they are together with Senior Mo Tian and Kong Jin. Zhuang Xiaoro said. Senior Ma Yin. Fatty? Let's go. Take me there. Lu Ming said. Immediately, Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro led Lu Ming and Autumn Moon towards the south. On the way, Autumn Moon also returned to her original appearance. The Zhuang siblings were so surprised that they almost called Autumn Moon Grand Preceptor Madam. Later, they found out about Autumn Moon's true identity. On the way, Lu Ming asked the siblings about what had happened in the past few years. The siblings talked about it in detail, allowing Lu Ming to understand more about the situation in the Divine Wilderness continent. Soon, they arrived at a mountain range. This mountain range was majestic and magnificent. They kept flying towards a valley. From afar, they could see a few wooden houses in the valley. Grand Preceptor Master, Grand Preceptor Madam. From afar, the Zhuang siblings shouted. From the wooden house, a figure walked out. From afar, Lu Ming saw his parents. It's Xiaoshan. Xiaoro is back. Li Ping smiled, but in the next moment, Li Ping's voice stopped abruptly. She saw Lu Ming and couldn't take her eyes off him. At the same time, Lu Yuntian also saw Lu Ming. Like Li Ping, he couldn't take his eyes off him. Ming'er, it's really you. Ming'er, you're back. Old man, help me take a look. Am I seeing things? Am I seeing Ming'er again? Li Ping muttered to herself. As she spoke, tears flowed down her cheeks. You're not seeing things. Ming'er is back, Lu Yuntian said with a trembling voice. Lu Ming's nose turned sour. It had been more than 10 years since they had left in a hurry. In the martial world, the concept of time was different from ordinary people. Seclusion could last for a few years. However, after not seeing each other for more than 10 years, the two elders must have missed him very much. Moreover, Lu Ming was going to the Yuanlu continent alone. The dangers were unknown. It would be strange if they weren't worried. Father, Mother. Lu Ming took a few steps forward and came to the two elders. Li Ping held Lu Ming's hand and looked at him carefully. She was completely speechless as tears flowed down her cheeks. I say, why are you crying? It's a good thing that Ming is back. Why are you crying? You're really a woman, Lu Yuntian said. However, his eyes were also filled with tears. Ming, let your friend take a seat inside, Lu Yuntian said as he looked at Autumn Moon. He was stunned when he saw her. Autumn Moon. Lu Yuntian couldn't believe it. Li Ping also looked at Qiuyu. She was also stunned. Autumn Moon. It's really you. You're back too? Li Ping was extremely surprised. Autumn Moon's eyes were already filled with tears. She couldn't hold it in anymore. She rushed into Li Ping's arms and said, Madam, Master, Autumn Moon is back. Autumn Moon is back to see you. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Li Ping stroked Autumn Moon's hair and was extremely happy. In their hearts, Autumn Moon was like their daughter. However, it had been almost 20 years since they last saw each other. Naturally, they were excited to see each other again. After a long while, everyone calmed down. Li Ping pulled Qiuyu aside and asked her a lot of questions. Lu Ming, it's really you. At this moment, two burly figures flew over. Lu Ming smiled when he saw them. Who else could it be if it wasn't Fatty Kongjin? The other one was the demonic Sky Divine Emperor. Of course, Lu Ming found that the demonic Sky Divine Emperor was no longer an emperor. His cultivation had reached the minor achievement of the Bright Divine Realm. That made sense. When the origin chi was scarce, those who could break through to the martial emperor realm were definitely top-notch in terms of talent, wisdom, and perseverance. Moreover, at the beginning of the world's metamorphosis, those martial emperors had an absolute advantage and could obtain a lot of resources. Therefore, it was not surprising that the demonic Sky Divine Emperor had broken through to the sacred realm. Perhaps those emperors back then had all broken through to the sacred realm. As for Fatty Kongjin, his cultivation was also different from before. He had reached the third stage of the half-saint realm. However, his body had become even fatter. He looked like a meatball. Fatty, Lu Ming said with a smile. Come, give me a hug. The fatty dashed toward Lu Ming like a physical body. His fats wobbled like waves. Chapter 2175. In the valley, in front of the wooden house, everyone gathered around a stone table. Fatty took out a large amount of wine and delicacies, and everyone chatted while eating. Lu Ming learned that the demonic Sky Divine Emperor was used to living in seclusion in the mountains. When he joined the Dragon Alliance, he did not stay in the Dragon Emperor city, but lived in seclusion in the mountains. Later, when the world changed, he brought Kong Jin with him and obtained a large number of sacred herbs and strange fruits. His bloodline evolved, and his cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Because of this, when the Emperor race came, he was not in the Dragon Emperor city, so he was not controlled by the Emperor race. The Emperor race did not care about those with weaker cultivation, such as Li Ping and Lu Yuntian. Lu Ming, what's your realm now? The demonic Sky Divine Emperor looked at Lu Ming, because he found that he could not see through Lu Ming's cultivation at all. At the same time, he could not see through Autumn Moon's cultivation at all. Boundary Emperor. Lu Ming did not hide it, and said bluntly. The demonic Sky Divine Emperor, Li Ping, Lu Yuntian, and the others were silent for a moment before they were overjoyed. Lu Ming had reached the Boundary Emperor realm. In their eyes, it was unimaginable. Humph, that Li Ku said that Master is not as good as them. They are not even worthy to carry Master's shoes. Zhuang Shaoshan said. Lu Ming, the gap between us is getting bigger and bigger, Kong Jin said with a bitter face, as if he had suffered a great blow. Autumn Moon has become an emperor, Lu Ming said all of a sudden. Then, she saw Kong Jin's entire body stiffen. His mouth was wide open, and his pair of beady eyes were fixed on Xiao Yu. The others were not any better. They were staring at Autumn Moon in shock. Autumn Moon had become an emperor. It was simply unimaginable. In their eyes, martial emperors were unsurpassed existences. However, there was a person sitting right beside them at that moment. "I don't want to live anymore," Fatty wailed. "Autumn Moon, you really became an emperor?" Li Ping held Autumn Moon's hand excitedly. Now that the world had undergone a metamorphosis and all living things had awakened, the cultivation level of the divine wilderness had increased by several levels. Although Li Ping was born unable to cultivate, under the accumulation of countless resources, she had now reached the Spirit Sea realm. On the other hand, Lu Yuntian's cultivation was at the domain enlightened Spirit God realm. So, they naturally knew what the martial Emperor realm represented. Autumn Moon's face flushed red. She was a little embarrassed. She whispered, "Although I've become an emperor, my strength is still far from young masters. Sigh, I'm old. I'm really old. In the future, the world will belong to you young people." The Devil Sky Emperor sighed. Everyone drank and chatted, and a few hours passed quickly. For the next few days, Lu Ming would spend time with Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, chatting with the two elders. A few days later, Lu Ming called Kong Jin, Zhuang Shaoshan, and Zhuang Xiaoro to a nearby mountain peak. "I've heard that the three great factions of the Yuan continent will have a duel in less than 3 months. Shaoshan, Xiaoro, I've told you that you'll be able to defeat Li Ku in 3 months. Are you confident?" Lu Ming said, Air. Master, that Li Ku is at the first stage of the half-martial sacred realm. We're only at the 8th layer martial dominator realm. It's quite difficult to catch up to him in 3 months. Zhuang Shaoshan said softly. He was being tactful. His and Zhuang Xiaoro's talents were average. Although their bloodlines had evolved after consuming the rare fruit, their bloodlines were only at the 7th grade divine realm. Over the years, they had refined many elixirs and sacred herbs to improve their cultivation. However, it was impossible for them to defeat Li Ku in 3 months. "With me around, do you think you won't be able to catch up to Li Ku?" Lu Ming glared at them. He then took out a jade bottle and tossed it to Zhuang Shaoshan. "There are top-grade nirvana pills inside. You and Xiaoro can refine them. 1 pill is enough to improve your bloodlines to the 9th grade divine realm." "Thank you, Master." The siblings were overjoyed and bowed before Lu Ming. Naturally, they were pleasantly surprised. Lu Ming's first move was a peerless treasure pill. Although there were many mutant fruits in the world, and some of them could allow one's bloodline to evolve, there were too few of them. And now, Lu Ming had given them an entire bottle. "Lu Ming, do you have any pills that are suitable for me?" The fatty rubbed his hands together in envy and stared at Lu Ming. His bloodline was already at the 8th grade divine realm. After consuming the rare fruit, it was now at the 9th grade divine realm. There was no need for him to improve his bloodline. "Fatty, I'll help you rank up to the martial sacred realm in a few days." Lu Ming let out a smile. "Rank up to the martial sacred realm in a few days? Are you serious?" The fatty's eyes glistened. "Of course, but it will be a little painful. Let's see if you can endure it." Lu Ming let out a smile. "Of course, who am I? Master Kong Jin." The fatty patted his chest and the fat on his body rippled like water. "All right." Lu Ming waved his hand and the great pill derivation furnace appeared on the ground. "Go in." "Huh? Into the furnace?" The fatty was dumbfounded. "That's right. Go in and you'll rank up to the martial sacred realm in a few days." Lu Ming said, "That's amazing. Here I come." The fatty jumped into the furnace. Lu Ming began to activate the furnace. Alchemy fire spread out and enveloped the fatty's body. Then, a scream like that of a pig being slaughtered came from the furnace. "Aw, it hurts so much. Ah!" The fatty screamed nonstop. Lu Ming continued to add sacred herbs and 2 Holy Spirit fruits into the furnace. The Holy Spirit fruit could increase the success rate of becoming a martial sacred and make it easier for one to condense a martial sacred heart. "Fatty, stop screaming. Focus on absorbing the energy and prepare for the breakthrough." Lu Ming said. The fatty endured the pain and began to cultivate. Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro also ran to the side and swallowed a nirvana elixir each and began to refine the elixir. 3 days later, Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro's bloodline successfully evolved under the effects of the nirvana elixir and reached divine level 9. This time, Lu Ming bought a large number of nirvana elixirs, all of which were top-notch. Naturally, their bloodline evolved to the highest level. Nirvana elixir was a very cheap elixir in Yuan continent. However, it was a treasure in the divine wilderness continent. At the same time, the fatty's cultivation had reached a critical moment. Boom! A powerful aura came out from the great pill derivation furnace. The fatty rushed out of the furnace and floated in the air. His aura exploded wildly. Ha ha ha, I've broken through. I've finally broken through. I've become a martial sacred. The fatty could not stop laughing. He was so excited that he could die. Isn't that number 1 Sky Pride Rinchinching arrogant? The next time I see him, I'll chop him up with my axe. The fatty continued to laugh as if he was invincible. You've become a martial sacred? Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro were also shocked. Then, their admiration for Lu Ming grew. After a while, the fatty finally calmed down and retracted his aura. Fatty, here's a divine power that suits your laws. Take it and cultivate. Chapter 2176. When he was in Yuanlu, Lu Ming had killed many strong enemies, especially in the ancient moon sacred ground, where he had destroyed the Feng clan and 5 other powerful forces. Each of these forces had been around for countless years, and they had a lot of resources. Lu Ming had obtained a lot of resources: elixirs, treasures, sacred weapons, emperor weapons, divine powers, and many more. There were various kinds of mystical abilities of laws inside. Lu Ming found a mystical ability that was suitable for the fatty and passed it to him. Fatty was overjoyed and took it happily. Then, Lu Ming took out an axe, which was a great sacred weapon, and gave it to Fatty. Fatty was even more overjoyed. Although the world had changed, it was only because the origin chi was more abundant, and there were more sacred herbs and spiritual herbs, which made it easier to break through. However, divine powers and weapons were still the same as before. Many people did not have a suitable weapon after their cultivation had increased. After the fatty received it, his eyes narrowed into slits as he grinned. Then, he ran off to the side and started cultivating. Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro looked at Lu Ming eagerly. Both of you have refined a lot of sacred herbs in your bodies, but most of the medicinal effects are still in your bodies. This will be a huge hindrance to your cultivation in the future. Both of you enter the cauldron, and I will help you refine them. At the same time, it will increase the grade of your spirit bodies. Lu Ming said. The siblings were shocked. Even the grade of their spirit bodies could be increased? In the end, Zhuang Xiaoshan entered the cauldron first. Refine. Lu Ming controlled the law of alchemy and used the alchemy fire to refine Zhuang Xiaoshan's body. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had increased and he could control the law of alchemy, it was easier for him to control the cauldron. The effects of the cauldron were many times stronger than before. Soon, the remaining medicinal effects in Zhuang Xiaoshan's body were completely refined by the alchemy fire. Afterward, Lu Ming added in the panacea. He used the medicinal effect of the panacea to temper and raise Zhuang Xiaoshan's spirit body level. The process was very painful, but Zhuang Xiaoshan gritted his teeth and endured it. This was because he could feel that his spiritual body was constantly improving. He was originally an ordinary spirit body, but now, he was improving at a crazy speed. A day later, his spiritual body was upgraded to an inferior earth spiritual body. However, it was not over yet. The improvement was still ongoing. After a few more days, his spiritual body had risen to a high-grade spiritual body. At this moment, Lu Ming released Zhuang Xiaoshan. It couldn't be too long, or it would be harmful. My spirit body. Zhuang Xiaoshan sensed carefully and realized that his spirit body's power had increased tremendously. His combat power was several times stronger than before. Xiaoro, go in. Lu Ming looked at Zhuang Xiaoro. Zhuang Xiaoro also entered the Great Evolution Pill Furnace, and Lu Ming did the same. A few days later, Zhuang Xiaoro's spirit body also rose to a high-grade spirit body. Then, he let Zhuang Xiaoshan in. After more than 20 days, the two spirit bodies rose to an inferior heaven spiritual body. Lu Ming sighed. The siblings' talent was limited. An inferior heaven spiritual body was their limit. It would be difficult for them to improve further unless they had a heaven-defying opportunity. However, their cultivation was not over yet. This was because the Great Evolution Pill Furnace had another use. It could refine pills using the laws. It could also refine people using the laws, allowing them to comprehend the laws faster. As for Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro, they had not reached the martial saint realm and had only comprehended the domain. In the past, Lu Ming could not use the Great Evolution Pill Furnace. However, now that Lu Ming had comprehended the laws of alchemy, he could do it. Then, he let the siblings take turns to enter the Great Evolution Pill Furnace and channel the power of the laws of heaven and earth into the furnace. The siblings' comprehension of the domain increased by leaps and bounds. Their cultivation base also advanced by leaps and bounds. During this time, Lu Ming also let Kong Jin enter the Great Evolution Pill Furnace to refine Kong Jin's spirit body and raise its grade. Kong Jin's talent was very high. His spirit body was raised to a medium heaven spiritual body before reaching its limit. Time flew by. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. In these 3 months, Kong Jin, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and Zhuang Xiaoro's cultivation increased by leaps and bounds. Kong Jin's cultivation was at the bright saint realm, but his spirit body had reached the medium earth spiritual body. He also cultivated the divine power technique, and his strength had increased by many times. As for Zhuang Xiaoro and Zhuang Xiaoshan, their cultivation had increased from the 8th layer martial royal realm to the peak of the 1st stage half-saint realm. Together with their inferior heaven spiritual bodies, their battle strength was enough to crush a 2nd stage half-saint. They could even defeat a 3rd stage half-saint. The three of them were very confident. At that moment, the competition between the three forces of Yuanlu in order to fight for territory had begun. During this time, the demonic Sky Divine Emperor had gone out to investigate and had obtained a lot of information. The Monarch race, Divine Bull Palace, and Barbarian Dragon Palace would compete for territory. This time, the competition would mainly be between the local geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent. Among them, the strongest party could occupy the Eastern Wilderness. Now, the Eastern Wilderness was undoubtedly the best place. And this time, the location was the Dragon Emperor City. This news had spread all over the world. During this time, countless people had rushed to the Dragon Emperor City to participate in this grand event. Lu Ming bade farewell to Li Ping and Lu Yuntian. Then, he led Kong Jin, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and Zhuang Xiaoro to the Dragon Emperor City. With Lu Ming's speed, they soon arrived at the Dragon Emperor City. The Dragon Emperor City was more majestic than before. Obviously, the Dragon Emperor City had been expanded over the years. Originally, there was a statue of Lu Ming in front of the Dragon Emperor City. However, this statue had long been torn down. The monarch race's people really deserved to die. They actually tore down Master's statue. Zhuang Xiaoshan was furious. Zhuang Xiaoro and Kong Jin's eyes were also burning with anger. Lu Ming was calm, and he smiled faintly. This time, he would take back the Dragon Emperor City. As for Sakura, it was time to deal with him. Around the Dragon Emperor City, countless figures flew towards the Dragon Emperor City. Lu Ming's group of 4 followed the crowd and entered the Dragon Emperor City. After entering the Dragon Emperor City, they found an inn to stay in. The battle between the 3 major forces of the Yuanlu would begin tomorrow. The 4 of them waited in the inn. At the same time, in a mansion in the depths of the Dragon Emperor City. The 2 words, Hua Mansion, were written on the gate of this mansion. The people living here were Hua Qi and his clansmen. Back then, due to Lu Ming, the Hua family was also considered a big family. Later on, the world changed and many Chinese people rose to prominence. Many powerhouses were born, and they had a pivotal position in the Dragon Alliance. However, similarly, when Sakura came, the Hua family was also controlled by the Monarch family. There were many experts guarding the Hua Mansion. They were all from the Monarch race. Now, the Hua Mansion welcomed a guest. It was the #1 genius of the Divine Wilderness continent, Ren Qianxing. Ren Qianxing was Sakura's disciple. Hua Qi led a group of people to receive him in the main hall of the Hua mansion. Young Master Run, I wonder what brings you to my Hua mansion? Hua Qi asked. Hua Qi, you already know the answer. Chapter 2177. Ren Qinqing sat at the head of the hall, lazily playing with the jade cup in his hand. He raised his head slightly, glanced at Hua Qi and said, You know very well why I'm here, but I'll say it again now. I like Hua Rou, marry her to me. Hua Qi and the other members of the Hua family were startled. Ren Qinqing was indeed here for Hua Rou. Hua Rou was Hua Qi's youngest daughter. She was a famous beauty in the Dragon Emperor city. Ren Qinqing had always been pursuing Hua Rou. Ren Qinqing was a good match for Hua Rou with his talent and identity. However, Ren Qinqing was a playboy by nature. Now, he had already married a wife and 3 concubines. Moreover, it was said that Ren Qinqing was only interested in something new. After playing with the concubines for a period of time, he no longer cared about them and went on to find his next target. How could Hua Qi let his daughter marry such a person? Furthermore, Ren Qinqing's master was Sakura. He had occupied the Dragon Emperor city and controlled the upper echelons of the Dragon Alliance. Therefore, he would not let his daughter marry Ren Qinqing. Furthermore, Hua Rou hated Ren Qinqing very much. Young Master Ren, marriage is a big matter. It's related to my daughter's happiness. Rou needs to make her own decision. We won't interfere. Hua Qi said. Hua Qi, what do you mean? Ren Qinqing's face turned cold. You mean Hua Rou won't be happy with me? It would be strange if she was happy. Hua Qi and the other members of the Hua family had the same thought, but they would not say it out loud. Young Master Run, you've misunderstood. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that Rou needs to make her own decision. Hua Qi explained. Ridiculous. Since ancient times, it's always been the parents' orders and the matchmaker's words. As long as you give the order, how would Hua Rou dare to disobey? Wouldn't she still have to marry me? Ren Qinqing's expression turned even colder as he continued. Hua Qi, don't give me all sorts of excuses. Who do you think I am? In the future, I will definitely dominate the divine wilderness and even head to the Yuan continent to become an overlord. It's your daughter's fortune that I fancy her. It's her fortune that she has cultivated for several lifetimes. Do you understand? Who do you think you are? You really know how to flatter yourself. A person like you would probably be slapped to death in Yuanlu. At this moment, a voice sounded out from outside the hall, and then a young and beautiful woman walked in. The girl was 16 years old and was in her prime. She was an outstanding beauty and was Hua Qi's youngest daughter, Hua Rou. Hua Rou, what did you say? Do you know how much trouble you'll bring to the Hua clan? Ren Qinqing said coldly. His cold eyes moved up and down Hua Rou's curvaceous body, flashing with an evil light. What? Are you going to use your master to pressure us again? Hua Rou was very stubborn and fearless. I don't need to marry my master. I, Ren Qinqing, have an unprecedented talent. If I want to marry someone, those women who want to marry me could line up from the North City Gate of Dragon Emperor City to the South City Gate of Dragon Emperor City. Do you understand? It's your fortune that I like you. Am I clear? Ren Qinqing said confidently. Unprecedented? You really know how to flatter yourself. In my heart, only my uncle Lu Ming is unprecedented. Who do you think you are? Hua Rou said. Lu Ming? If he appears, I'll slap him to death. Ren Qinqing said in disdain. He then looked at Hua Qi and said, Hua Qi, do you agree or not? Since Rou doesn't agree, please forgive me. I can't agree. Hua Qi said firmly. Good, very good. Since that's the case, I will take first place in tomorrow's competition. At that time, I will ask my master to grant me a marriage. Even if you don't agree, you have to agree. Ren Qinqing fiercely left behind these words, flicking his sleeves and leaving. Hua Qi, Hua Rou, and the others' faces changed. If Di Shirtian personally granted them a marriage, what should they do? If they rejected Di Shirtian, the Hua family would be annihilated. That despicable man, Hua Rou said with hatred as tears flowed down her cheeks. Rou, don't worry. Even if I die, I won't let you marry him. Hua Qi gritted his teeth. Everyone in the Hua family was worried. Time flew by, and a day passed by. Early the next morning, Lu Ming and the other three headed to the center of the Dragon Emperor City. In the center of the Dragon Emperor City, there was a huge square that was already crowded with people. Around the square, there were some banquets prepared. Of course, only those with status could take a seat. Ordinary people weren't qualified at all. The emperor race is here. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Whoosh! Whoosh!" From the depths of the Dragon Emperor City, rays of light flew over. The person in the lead was wearing an emperor's robe. He looked to be in his 40s with a jade crown on his head. He looked like an ancient emperor who had revived, filled with endless majesty. Di Shirtian. Needless to say, Lu Ming knew that this person was Di Shirtian. Beside Di Shirtian, there were some people. A few of them were abnormally tall and sturdy. They were covered in thick iron armor, and their bodies were covered in black light. Evil God Tribe. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly. These people were all from the Evil God Tribe, and one of them had reached the martial emperor realm. Beside him, there were a few young men. That is Ren Qianxing, the #1 genius of the divine wilderness. Ren Qianxing's talent is amazing. Some people say that he is more talented than Lu Ming in the past and is the #1 in history. Not necessarily. Around them, a group of people discussed. Zhuang Xiaoro and Zhuang Xiaoshan were indignant. Bright Saint Realm. Lu Ming looked at one of the young men. This person's cultivation had reached the Bright Saint Realm, and he should be Ren Qianxing. Beside Ren Qianxing, there was another young man. It was Li Ku. Di Shirtian and the others landed at the highest position and sat down. Moo moo. At this moment, a bull's roar shook the sky. In the distance, a group of divine bulls the size of a mountain stepped on the void, causing the sky to rumble. When they got closer, these divine bulls turned into tall and sturdy men. The people of the Divine Bull Palace had arrived. The people of the Divine Bull Palace also brought a few young men, and they landed on the east seat. Immediately, the roar of beasts resounded. Ferocious beasts pulled chariots, and a few chariots flew over. The people of the Barbarian Dragon Palace had arrived. Similarly, the Barbarian Dragon Palace also brought a few young men. The three major forces of the Yuan continent had arrived. The leaders of the three forces looked at each other in the air, and a terrifying aura spread out. An invisible pressure spread out. Everyone present felt as if they were facing several ancient universes. The suffocating pressure almost made them kneel down. Lu Ming released a wisp of aura that enveloped Fatty, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and Zhuang Xiaoro. The pressure on them lessened, and they let out a long breath. Third Martial Emperor Realm? Lu Ming muttered. The leaders of the three forces faced each other, and their auras spread out. Others could not see their cultivation, but Lu Ming could. Chapter 2178. Sakura, the Divine Bull Palace Master, and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master faced each other. Their auras filled the air as they revealed their rank 3 Martial Emperors. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a smile. He did not take a level 3 Martial Emperor seriously. You too want to take over the Eastern Wilderness? No way. The Divine Bull Palace Master was a purple-haired middle-aged man. He smiled coldly. The Divine Bull Palace was the first force to come to the Eastern Wilderness. Therefore, they occupied the place with the densest origin chi. The Monarch Tribe and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master had always wanted to take over the Eastern Wilderness, but they had never succeeded. This time, the Monarch Tribe and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master had joined forces to put pressure on the Divine Bull Palace. Where did the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master come from? Lu Ming frowned and pondered. These two forces definitely did not come from the Tsang State. They must have come to the Divine Wilderness through other means. You'll know after the competition. Don't go back on your word. Sakura smiled faintly. My Divine Bull Palace won't go back on our word. Tell me, how are we going to compete this time? The Divine Bull Palace Master asked. How are we going to compete? We've already agreed that there's no need for you and me to fight. Both sides will send out their local geniuses to compete. How about this? Each side will send out 3 geniuses to compete in the group battle and individual battle. Sakura said. All right, it's decided then. I agree. The Divine Bull Palace Master and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master nodded in agreement. Not long after, a battle stage rose in the middle of the square. 3 young men from each of the 3 forces rushed into the stage. Rinqianqing, Rinqianqing, Rinqianqing. The monarch tribe naturally sent out Rinqianqing. As soon as he stepped into the battle stage, many people shouted, including some ignorant girls. Rinqianqing did look like a decent man. Many ignorant girls did not know how to differentiate between good and evil. They mindlessly idolized Rinqianqing. Rinqianqing stood with his hands behind his back, looking like a peerless expert. What a show-off. I can't wait to step on his face. Kong Jin said unhappily. You'll have the chance. Lu Ming smiled. I'm mainly annoyed by those brainless girls. Rinqianqing doesn't have anything he wants. How can he be compared to me? Those girls really don't have eyes. Kong Jin pursed his lips. Lu Ming was speechless. Brother Nyo, why don't we join forces? That Rinqianqing is not easy to deal with. The barbarian Dragon Palace Master secretly sent a message to the Divine Bull Palace Master. The eyes of the Master of the Divine Bull Palace flashed as he said, All right, then let's join forces first and defeat the people of the Emperor clan. Then, we'll decide who's better. All right, that's what I meant. The barbaric Dragon Palace Master nodded. Soon after, the Barbarian Dragon Hall Master and Divine Bull Palace Master sent voice transmissions to their respective supreme geniuses. At this moment, the 3 groups of geniuses were facing each other in the fighting ring. Around them, many people were watching nervously. From the discussions of the surrounding people, they knew that the 9 youths on the battle stage were 9 of the top 10 geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent. Each of them had a very high cultivation level. On the Emperor clan side, Rinqianqing and Li Ku were both there. At this moment, the Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace's supreme geniuses looked at each other and suddenly moved. 6 youths from both sides suddenly rushed towards the Emperor clan's supreme geniuses from 2 different directions. Damn it, they want to join forces to deal with us first. Li Ku roared loudly. You're despicable. Another supreme genius from the Emperor clan also roared loudly. However, the supreme geniuses from both sides were extremely fast. In an instant, they closed in and attacked them. Li Ku and another supreme genius roared and charged forward. However, Rinqianqing still had his hands behind his back, not moving at all. Boom, boom. 2 explosions rang out. How could Li Ku and the other youth block the other party? They were directly blasted back, blood flowing out of their mouths. The 6 youths from the Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace surrounded Rinqianqing. Rinqianqing, admit defeat. One of the Divine Bull Palace's supreme geniuses said. This person was ranked 2nd among the top 10 supreme geniuses and had a cultivation level of 3rd stage half-saint. Admit defeat? What a joke. You want to defeat me with trash like you? Rinqianqing said indifferently, boasting shamelessly. Then I'll have you get lost now. The supreme genius roared. The 6 supreme geniuses all released their powerful auras. They were all half-saints, and the weakest among them was a 2nd stage half-saint. Boom. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura erupted from Rinqianqing's body. Vast sage aura spread out in all directions. At this moment, Rinqianqing's cultivation level of the bright sage realm was revealed. Sage realm, you've broken through to the sage realm. You've actually broken through to the sage realm. The 6 supreme geniuses from the 2 major forces roared in disbelief. This guy has actually broken through to the sage realm. Zhuang Xiaoro and Zhuang Xiaoro were also a little surprised. The sage realm was a hurdle that was difficult to cross. For example, if Fatty Kong Jin did not have Lu Ming's help, it would probably take a long time for him to cross the sage realm. At this moment, the surrounding crowd was also in an uproar. They were shocked by Rinqianqing's cultivation level. Those ignorant young girls were even more agitated as they screamed and screamed. Now, you're the ones who have lost. Rinqianqing roared as rays of sword light bloomed from his hand. His master was Sakura, so naturally, he had also cultivated divine powers that were extremely powerful. Bam! Bam! The supreme geniuses from the 2 major forces could not resist at all. They were directly sent flying by the sword light and fell to the ground, vomiting blood. A sage-to-be was no match for a sage realm cultivator. The supreme geniuses from the two major forces had been defeated in an instant. There was no suspense in the competition. Damn it! The sacred bull palace master roared, his face gloomy. The crowd was also in an uproar as countless people cheered for Rinqianqing. Too powerful, really too powerful. Rinqianqing has reached the sage realm at such a young age. This is defying the heavens. Isn't that so? No wonder he's the top supreme genius of the divine wilderness. This is rare since ancient times. Someone actually put Lu Ming and Rinqianqing on the same level. In my opinion, Lu Ming and Rinqianqing are not even on the same level. Lu Ming is far from being comparable. Not bad, not bad. A series of discussions could be heard all around the square. Damn it! What do these people know? How do they know how powerful Master is? That's right, a bunch of ignorant people. Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro were very unhappy. These people actually said that Lu Ming was far from being comparable to Rinqianqing. It was ridiculous. They knew how powerful Lu Ming was. In just 3 months, he was able to make their strength soar. They did not know how many times stronger he was than Rinqianqing. Lu Ming smiled slightly and did not care. With his current cultivation level, why would he care about these people's discussions? Many people sighed. They reckoned that in this competition, there was already no suspense. The Emperor clans were definitely going to win. Sakura was full of smiles. In order to help Rinqianqing break through to the Sage Realm, he had paid a great price. But it was all worth it. The cultivation environment in the Eastern Wilderness was too good. As long as he occupied the Eastern Wilderness, he planned to move the entire D family over and make it their base camp. The D family would definitely continue to grow stronger and rise. Chapter 2179. As expected, the individual battles became Rinqianqing's show. He defeated everyone in his way, and no one was a match for him. He won the first place without exception. Meanwhile, Li Ku won the 8th place. Although the other two from the Monarch race didn't have good results, Rinqianqing's ranking meant that the Monarch race's points were still the highest. The entire Monarch race laughed their heads off. Those from the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace looked gloomy. This battle had pushed Rinqianqing's reputation to the top. Many people even said that Rinqianqing was a prodigy that had never appeared in the Divine Desolate region. They said that Lu Ming wasn't even worthy of carrying Rinqianqing's shoes. Zhuang Xiaoshan and the others gritted their teeth. Rinqianqing stood on the fighting stage with his hands behind his back, enjoying the envious gazes of many people. There was a smug smile on his face. He was enjoying himself immensely, and his entire being was floating. He felt as if he was invincible since ancient times. After a long time, he restrained his thoughts and cupped his fists towards Sakura as he said, "Master, disciple has a matter to request of Master today. I hope that Master will grant my wish." "Haha, Qianqing, you have won the first place today. Tell me what you want. Treat it as a reward from me." Sakura laughed out loud. "Thank you, Master. I would like to ask you to marry Huaro, the daughter of Hua Qi, to me." Rinqianqing said. "Hua Qi." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Rinqianqing wanted to marry Hua Qi's daughter. He had left the Divine Desolate region for more than 10 years and Hua Qi already had a few children before he left. Lu Ming remembered that Hua Qi did have a daughter called Huaro. Could it be that Huaro and Rinqianqing were in love? Lu Ming frowned. He was about to take action, but he held himself back and wanted to see what was going on. "Oh, that's it. I'll call Hua Qi and the other members of the Dragon Alliance and ask them to get ready to move to the Eastern Desolate region with me." Sakura nodded and then asked someone to pass the message. Not long after, a group of people flew over. Hua Qi, Xiaowan, Senior Zhuyang, Brother Yin. At a glance, Lu Ming saw a familiar face in the crowd. Hua Qi, Xiaowan, Xia Zhuyang, Yin Kuangtu, etc. were all high-ranking members of the Dragon Alliance. Of course, there was also Hua Qi's daughter, Huaro. Hua Qi's face was somewhat ugly. He had a bad premonition. When he came here and heard that Rinqianqing had already broken through to the Saint Realm and even obtained first place, his heart sank. "Hua Qi, today, Qianqing told me that he is interested in your daughter, Huaro. I will bestow your daughter, Huaro, to Qianqing. Today, they will get married. It can be considered a double blessing." What do you say? Sakura asked smilingly. No, I won't agree. A crisp voice rang out. It was Huaro. Huachi said with an unpleasant expression, Senior Martial Emperor, my daughter Huaro is still young. She doesn't want to get married. I hope Senior Martial Emperor will take back the order. What do you mean? Ren Qianqing's face darkened as he stared at Huachi and Huaro. I, Ren Qianqing, have the greatest talent since the ancient times. Could it be that I'm not worthy of Huaro? Don't be ignorant of your good fortune. The number one talent since ancient times. How shameless. Huaro went all out and scolded. Sakura's face also turned gloomy as he said, I called you guys over, not to ask for your opinions, but to inform you that I have personally spoken. No one can refuse. You guys go and prepare. We'll get married in a while. Huachi and Huaro's faces turned pale. Ren Qianqing, on the other hand, wore a smug expression. Senior Martial Emperor, marriage is a big deal. I'm afraid it's not good for you to force a marriage. Xiao Wan stepped forward and cupped his fists. That's right. I hope Senior Martial Emperor will take back the order. Following this, Xia Zhiyang, Yin Kuangtu, and the others also stepped forward and spoke. Who do you think you are? Since my master has already spoken, there's no reason for him to take it back. Are you going to disobey him? Ren Qianqing scolded. Around them, everyone just watched. No one said a word. Xiao Wan, Xia Zhiyang, Yin Kuangtu, Huachi, and the others wore unpleasant expressions. Unfortunately, the monarch tribe was too strong. If they resisted, they would probably be crushed to death by Sakura. There was no hope at all. No, I won't marry him. I won't marry him even if I die. Huaro shouted stubbornly. You have to marry him even if you don't want to. If you die, your family will be buried with you. Have you thought it through? Ren Qianqing transmitted his voice to Huaro. His voice was cold. Huaro's delicate body trembled. A look of despair flashed across her face as tears streamed down her face. Fatty, Xiaoshan, Xiaoro, it's your turn. At this moment, Lu Ming said to Fatty and the others, Haha, it's finally my turn. I can't hold it in any longer. Fatty laughed loudly. He carried his battle axe and rushed out. Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro followed Fatty and rushed out. Ren Qianqing, who do you think you are? Huaro is an outstanding beauty. How can you be worthy of her? Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? A loud roar resounded throughout the entire place. Ren Qianqing's face instantly darkened. He shouted, Who is it? Come out. Your grandfather. Fatty carried his battle axe and walked out. Beside him followed Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro. Huachi, Huaro, Xiao Wan, and the others also saw Fatty and Zhuang Xiaoshan. Fatty, Xiaoshan, Xiaoro, why are you here? This has nothing to do with you. Leave now, Huachi shouted. Today's matter was a little mysterious. He didn't want to involve Fatty and the others. Haha, it's okay. We're here today to beat this sissy up. We'll leave after we're done. Fatty carried his battle axe and looked at Ren Qianqing in disdain. You guys are courting death. Ren Qianqing squeezed out a sentence from his teeth. It was extremely eerie. Courting death? You're not qualified. Also, you're not qualified to marry Huaro. Fatty said lazily. Ha ha ha, what a joke. I'm not qualified. If I'm not qualified, who in the world is qualified? My talent is unparalleled since ancient times. Who can compare to me? Ren Qianqing laughed. What a joke. You're just a piece of trash. How dare you say that your talent is unparalleled? Fatty said in disdain. What did you say? Ren Qianqing's face was incomparably gloomy. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Ever since he became Sakura's disciple, his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. He was sought after by countless people, and many people said that his talent was unparalleled since ancient times. Now, Fatty actually said that he was trash. Instantly, he had sentenced Fatty to death in his heart. Saying that he was trash was unforgivable. Are you deaf? I said that you're trash. Unless you can defeat me, only then will you be qualified to be with Huaro. Do you understand? Fatty said indifferently. These words made many people speechless. This Fatty wanted to challenge Ren Qianqing? Who is this Fatty? Why is he so arrogant? I recognize him. He seems to be Lu Ming's friend. He's not even 50 years old. He can be considered as someone from the younger generation. Chapter 2180. Discussions broke out around the square. Hua Qi, Xia Zhuyang, and the rest had an ugly look on their faces. They didn't understand why Fatty and the rest were here. There was no benefit in provoking Ren Qinqing like this. Instead, they would get themselves into trouble. Also, Fatty actually challenged Ren Qinqing. It was impossible for him to be Ren Qinqing's opponent. They knew about Fatty's cultivation. He wasn't a saint yet. Moreover, even if Fatty became a saint, he wouldn't be Ren Qinqing's opponent. Ren Qinqing was Sakura's disciple and could cultivate divine arts. Divine arts didn't exist in the divine wilderness continent. If they were at the same level, they wouldn't be Ren Qinqing's opponent. Fatty, Xiaoshan, Xiaoro, you guys leave. Hua Qi roared. Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro were Lu Ming's disciples. If something happened to them because of him, how could he explain it to Lu Ming? Leave. Today, none of them can leave. Ren Qinqing's voice was cold. Killing intent flashed in his eyes as a powerful aura spread out from his body. Fatty actually dared to provoke him. He must kill Fatty today and let everyone know that his dignity couldn't be offended. No matter, I'll beat this guy up and let everyone know that he's a piece of trash. Then, I'll leave. The Fatty grinned at Hua Qi. Previously, Lu Ming had told him to just attack. There was no need to worry about the Sakura and the other powerful figures. Therefore, Fatty wasn't afraid at all. Hua Qi, Xia Zhuyang, and the rest were dumbfounded. They didn't understand why Fatty, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and Zhuang Xiaoro were so confident today. Were they crazy? Even the spectators felt that Fatty and the rest were crazy. They were going to die today. Courting death. Ren Qinqing took a step forward. His killing intent was even stronger. Young Master Ren, there's no need for young Master Ren to deal with these trash. Wouldn't it dirty your hands? Let me do it for you. At this moment, Lika stepped forward and took the opportunity to flatter Ren Qinqing. This flattery made Ren Qinqing feel very comfortable. He nodded and said, "That's good too. A few clowns are indeed not worthy of me taking action. You take action on my behalf. Cripple them first. I want them to regret it." Rest assured, young Master Ren. Lika nodded and bowed. Then, he stepped towards Fatty and the others, emitting a cold, murderous intent. "Li Ku, let me fight you." Zhuang Xiaoshan stepped out and faced Li Ku. "Zhuang Xiaoshan, you trash. How dare you fight me? 3 months ago, you couldn't even take a single blow from me. You were really courting death. That's fine. Today, I'll let everyone understand that Lu Ming's disciple is a piece of trash, and he himself is also a piece of trash. He was just bragging too much." Lika sneered. These words caused many people's expressions to turn ugly. There were quite a few people here. They were all members of the Dragon Alliance back then. Many of them had personally witnessed Lu Ming's heaven-defying rise to power back then. But now, Li Ku said that Lu Ming was trash. Didn't that mean that they were trash too? How dare you insult my master? I'll kill you today. Zhuang Xiaoshan was enraged. His eyes were filled with killing intent. A long spear appeared in his hand, and a powerful aura burst out. The first stage of half-saint. You? How could your cultivation level increase so quickly? Lika screamed in disbelief. 3 months ago, Zhuang Xiaoshan's cultivation level was only at rank 8 Martial Royal Realm. How could he break through so many levels in just 3 months and reach the first stage of the half-saint realm? In the past 3 months, with the help of the Emperor tribe, he had only broken through 1 level and reached the second stage of the half-saint realm. Zhuang Xiaoshan's cultivation level was higher than his. However, he quickly came to his senses and a ferocious look flashed across his eyes. He said arrogantly, "You must have had a fortuitous encounter and obtained some powerful sacred medicine. But so what? Your cultivation level is still too weak to withstand a single blow from the powerful medicine. I can defeat you with a single blow." So what if Zhuang Xiaoshan's cultivation level was at the first stage of the half-saint realm? He was now at the second stage of the half-saint realm. Moreover, his master was a boundary emperor of the Emperor tribe. He had taught him territorial martial techniques. He was confident that he could defeat Zhuang Xiaoshan with a single blow. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Li Ke's body. At the same time, a combat sword appeared in his hand. Sword radiance burst out, and with the power of the precepts, he charged towards Zhuang Xiaoshan. In the divine region, those who were at the first stage of the half-saint realm and had not cultivated any territorial martial techniques would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. However, although Zhuang Xiaoshan had yet to cultivate a domain martial technique, his spiritual body had already reached the low-grade celestial spiritual body. A low-tier heaven spiritual body was considered a genius in the Yuanlu. In the past, there was not a single low-tier heaven spiritual body in the Zhangzhou state. Li Ke's spiritual body was just an ordinary spiritual body. Zhuang Xiaoro's spiritual body's power was enough to crush Li Ke. Boom! Zhuang Xiaoro waved his spear and smashed it down. This spear did not have any technique to speak of. It was just a simple spear strike. Under the infusion of true essence, the long spear rapidly grew in size. It was like a giant pillar that supported the sky as it smashed towards Li Ke. Bam! Bam! Li Ke's sword radiance collapsed under the spear. The giant spear smashed onto Li Ke's body. Li Ke's body was like a broken sandbag as he landed heavily on the fighting ring, causing it to tremble. Li Ke lay on the fighting ring and vomited blood. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He had been crushed by Zhuang Xiaoshan in a single blow. 3 months ago, Zhuang Xiaoshan was a piece of trash that could not withstand a single blow from him. Now, he had been crushed in a single blow. He could not accept this. Everyone in the surroundings was a little stunned. Li Ke was one of the top 10 elites in the divine region. In other words, other than the top 10 elites, no one else was a match for Li Ke. However, he had been defeated by Zhuang Xiaoshan in a single blow. Was this Lu Ming's disciple? If his disciple was so strong, how could his master be weak? Brother Xiaoshan is so powerful, Hua Rou exclaimed. Hua Qi, Xia Zhuyang, and the rest were stunned. They knew Zhuang Xiaoshan's cultivation and combat strength very well. They had not seen him for a while. How did he become so strong? You cheated. You cheated. There are other experts secretly helping you. Li Ke shouted crazily. He remembered the last time, someone had secretly helped Zhuang Xiaoshan. Li Ke was defeated by Zhuang Xiaoshan in a single blow. It was exactly the same as this time. No one secretly helped. The Divine Bull Palace Master said lightly. His voice reverberated throughout the area. The Divine Bull Palace had lost this time. They had lost to the Monarch tribe and had to give up the eastern wilderness. This made him very unhappy. Now that he saw the Monarch tribe suffer, he was naturally happy. No one doubted the Divine Bull Palace Master's words. He was a martial emperor realm expert and an expert among the martial emperors. How is this possible? Li Ke could not believe it. You're a piece of trash, and you dare to talk about others. Chapter 2181. Li Ke was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. Sakura, who was high up in the stands, was displeased. However, with his status, he would not lose his temper just because a junior had been defeated. You have some skills. Let me fight you. Ren Qianqing's eyes flashed coldly. He stepped forward and was about to approach Zhuang Xiaoshan. However, the fatty stood in front of Zhuang Xiaoshan and said, "Trash, your opponent is me. Then I'll kill you first." Ren Qianqing shouted coldly. The fatty had called him trash time and time again, which made him want to kill him. Ren Qianqing's cultivation of the sage realm was fully unleashed. The precepts surged and the sage force surrounded his body. The sage force swirled around and caused a storm to sweep towards the fatty. However, the fatty did not react at all. He was still grinning. What's so great about the sage realm? It's as if no one has seen it before. The fatty said disdainfully. Many people were shouting in their hearts. The sage realm was indeed amazing. Not many people in the divine wilderness could reach it, let alone the younger generation. However, the next moment, everyone's eyes widened. That was because a powerful aura had also erupted from the fatty's body. That was also the aura of the sage realm. It was the aura of the sage realm and was not any weaker than Ren Qianqing's. Sage realm. This fatty has reached the sage realm. Oh my God, I couldn't tell. The heavens are unfair. This fatty is so fat and ugly, but he has reached the sage realm. It's not fair. A group of girls shouted. The fatty had put on the demeanor of a peerless expert. However, when he heard this, he was stunned and furious. He cursed in his heart that these girls had no taste and liked sissies. Therefore, he vented all of his anger on Ren Qianqing. Ren Qianqing was also stunned. He was very unhappy that there was someone in the younger generation who had reached the sage realm like him. So what if you have reached the sage realm? You are still weak in my hands. I will defeat you in one move. Gale Sword. Ren Qianqing attacked. The first move was a divine skill. Rays of sword light appeared in the air and shot towards the fatty at an alarming speed. Watch me break your divine skill. Fatty roared. He swung his battle axe and swept it out. Whoosh! A beam of axe light shocked the heavens. It was incomparably huge, sweeping away thousands of soldiers as if it could split open the heavens. This was the divine ability that Lu Ming had given him. Although he had only cultivated it for a short period of time, his mastery was still low. However, Fatty's current spiritual body was a mid-heaven spiritual body. When he unleashed his full power, his power was incomparably shocking. Ren Qianqing's spiritual body was only a mid-tier earth spiritual body. In the divine wilderness, it might have been rare, but compared to Fatty, it was far inferior. As the axe light swept out, all of Ren Qianqing's sword lights were destroyed. However, the axe light didn't stop and continued to slash at Ren Qianqing. Ren Qianqing was almost scared to death. He roared in fear and frantically retreated. In the end, he was almost cut in half by the axe. Although he avoided it, his chest was still swept by the axe, and a deep wound appeared, with blood flowing out. The terrifying destructive power surged into his body, causing him to vomit blood. The entire place fell silent. Most people looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. Ren Qianqing was actually defeated. He was defeated in one move. He was the number one sky pride in the divine wilderness, and was even known as the number one sky pride since ancient times. Yet, he was defeated by Fatty in one move. How is this possible? How is this possible? No, this can't be real. Many ignorant girls shook their heads in confusion. They couldn't believe that their idol was so weak and couldn't even withstand a single blow. Impossible. Ren Qianqing roared in disbelief. Previously, he said that he would defeat Fatty in one move, but now, he was defeated by Fatty in one move. He was known as the number one sky pride since ancient times. He couldn't accept such a blow. His eyes were red, and he couldn't wait to chop Fatty into pieces. Bastard, go to hell. He charged towards Fatty in a frenzy. I'll play with you. Fatty kept his battle axe and rushed towards Ren Qianqing, throwing out a punch. This punch was unstoppable. It directly shattered Ren Qianqing's attack and landed on his face. Ren Qianqing screamed as he flew out, his teeth mixed with blood flying everywhere. Those ignorant girls were dumbfounded and felt that their faith had collapsed. It turned out that their idol wasn't invincible. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. Hua Qi, Xia Zhuyang, Xiao Wan, and the others were stunned. They were extremely confused. How did Fatty's combat strength suddenly increase to such an astonishing level? Xiao Wan, Xia Zhuyang, and the others had already broken through to the bright sage realm, but they would definitely lose to Ren Qianqing because they didn't have the corresponding divine arts. However, Fatty could easily crush Ren Qianqing. In addition, Zhuang Xiaoshan's cultivation and combat strength had also increased greatly. What was going on? Could it be that they had a fortuitous encounter? They couldn't figure it out. Ren Qianqing couldn't figure it out either. At this moment, he only had one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Fatty. Bam! But in the next moment, Fatty threw another punch on his face, and he flew out again. He couldn't even recognize his own face. It was too horrible to look at. A piece of trash like you dares to call yourself the number one sky pride since ancient times? You're shameless. You're not even fit to lick Lu Ming's shoes. A piece of trash like you dares to marry Hua Rou's niece? You're even more shameless. If I were you, I'd kill myself. Living in this world is shameful. Fatty continued to mock Ren Qianqing. Rinchinchin roared. He was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. Min, skin that fatty and pull out his tendons. Rinchinchin roared. Kill. Instantly, an expert from the D clan stepped out from the side of the emperors, rushing towards the fatty. This person was at the peak of the absolute saint realm. His aura was earth-shattering. Sakra's face was gloomy, but he didn't stop him. Wow, how despicable. You can't beat me, so you call for help. I'll run. Fatty scampered off. Let's see how you're going to run in my hands. The absolute saint of the monarch race reached out his hand and tried to grab the fatty. His hand covered the sky, and fatty couldn't run away. Oh no. Hua Qi, Xiao Wan, Xia Zhiyang, Yin Kuangtu, and the others' faces changed drastically. They wanted to help, but their cultivation base was too weak compared to the other party. Whoosh! At this moment, a black light burst out from the crowd. It was thousands of meters long, and it cut off the hand. The black light didn't stop. It was unbelievably fast, and it slashed through the absolute Saint Realm expert's forehead. Pucci, the absolute Saint Realm expert's body was cut in half, and his corpse fell to the ground. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. An absolute Saint Realm expert was killed just like that. He couldn't resist at all. Chapter 2182. Boom, boom. At this moment, all of the Archrace experts erupted with shocking auras and cold-killing intent. Who is it? The Archrace expert roared as he looked at the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace. To be able to kill a perfected absolute sage, the person's strength was definitely above that. It was very likely that the person was a quasi-emperor. However, the people of the Divine Wilderness did not have such high cultivation. It was very likely that the person was an expert from the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace. They suspected that the people of the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace secretly attacked. Don't look at me like that. I didn't send anyone. I didn't either. The Divine Bull Palace Master and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master denied it with innocent expressions. Who is it? Get out here. Otherwise, these brats will die. A quasi-emperor from the Archrace stepped out. Cold-killing intent enveloped the fatty and the others. However, an aura erupted from the crowd, crushing the quasi-emperor's killing intent. Then, a dark-skinned youth stepped out. This youth was naturally Lu Ming. Before he came here, he had already used his divine breath technique to change his appearance. Brat, was it you who attacked just now? The quasi-emperor asked with a cold gaze. Why are you asking the obvious? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Are you from the Divine Bull Palace or the Barbarian Dragon Palace? The quasi-emperor asked. I'm from the Dragon Alliance. Lu Ming continued to smile. Many people were stunned, especially Xiao Wan and the others. They were even more stunned. Lu Ming said that he was from the Dragon Alliance, but they did not have such a strong expert. The quasi-emperor clearly did not believe it. He thought that Lu Ming was playing with him. He asked coldly, You should be from Yuanlu, right? You can say so. Lu Ming continued to smile. Are you alone? The quasi-emperor asked again. Nonsense. Which eye of yours saw that there were two of me? Lu Ming berated. The quasi-emperor's gaze turned even colder. You killed a member of the Archrace. Today, you can forget about leaving. Boom. The quasi-emperor of the monarch race made his move. He took a step forward, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming smiled and took a step forward. Countless runes appeared and condensed into a Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper held the Grim Reaper scythe in his hand and directly slashed at the quasi-emperor of the monarch race. Pucci, the death god scythe easily chopped the sovereign race quasi-emperor in half. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A series of gasps could be heard. That was a quasi-emperor. Yet he was killed in an instant. He did not even have the chance to fight back. Could it be that he was also a martial emperor? I know who he is. Black-faced Reaper. It's the Black-faced Reaper. Suddenly, someone shouted. What? Black-faced Grim Reaper? That's him. Legend has it that the Black-faced Reaper is a dark-skinned young man who can summon the Reaper to do battle. He's extremely terrifying. There were constant exclamations. Many people looked at Lu Ming with awe and respect. 3 months ago, during the battle for the Holy Spirit fruit at Wuyuan Mountain, the black-faced Reaper appeared out of nowhere and displayed terrifying combat strength. He killed the experts of the Monarch race, Divine Bull Palace, and Barbarian Dragon Palace in one fell swoop. During this period of time, the news had already spread throughout the Divine Wilderness continent. Most people had heard of the black-faced Reaper. However, the black-faced Reaper was very mysterious. Ever since he appeared last time, he had disappeared without a trace. The three great forces sent experts to hunt down the black-faced Reaper, but to no avail. Unexpectedly, the black-faced Reaper suddenly appeared now. It's him. He's courting death. How dare he kill the people of my Divine Bull Palace? We must eliminate him today. Not only the Monarch race, but the experts of the Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace also spoke coldly, their cold gazes sweeping towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming smiled and did not care at all. So, the backer of that fatty and the others is him. Many people's hearts skipped a beat. They finally understood why the fatty and the others were so bold to cause trouble. It turned out that their backer was the black-faced Reaper. Boom! At this moment, Sakura stood up from his seat. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Many people trembled and almost knelt down. So, the black-faced Reaper is you. However, since you dare to show off in my territory today, I think you've come to the wrong place, Sakura said coldly. Your territory? Lu Ming said with a strange expression. This is the Dragon Emperor City, the territory of the Dragon Alliance. It's the territory of the Alliance leader of the Dragon Alliance, Lu Ming. When did it become your territory? You're really shameless. Lu Ming? Ridiculous. A little guy who's not even a martial emperor. What qualifications does he have to control the Dragon Emperor City? Sakura said coldly. You're not allowed to insult my master. Zhuang Xiaoro glared at Sakura. Haha, ridiculous. Insulting your master? Your master, Lu Ming, is nothing. He's already a thing of the past. If he appears again, I can crush him with a finger. Ren Xinqing mocked at the side. Oh? Lu Ming looked at Ren Xinqing with a strange expression and said, I'm right here. Come and crush me. After saying this, Lu Ming's appearance changed rapidly and returned to his original appearance. What? When everyone heard Lu Ming's words, they were stunned. However, when they saw Lu Ming's appearance, many of them were tongue-tied. They were completely dumbfounded. In the Divine Wilderness continent, it could be said that most people had seen Lu Ming's appearance before. In the past, Lu Ming had unified the Divine Wilderness and established the Dragon Alliance, which was supreme. Large and small forces had a portrait of Lu Ming. In the Dragon Emperor City, there was also a huge statue of Lu Ming. Now that they saw Lu Ming's true appearance, they were all stunned. Lu Ming, it's really Lu Ming. Xia Zhiyang, Xiao Wan, and the others were the first to react and shouted in disbelief. It's really Lu Ming. The leader of the Dragon Alliance, Lu Ming, is back. Oh my god, it's true. He's many times stronger than before. He even killed a boundary emperor in an instant. Countless people exclaimed. It turned out that the famous black-faced killing god was Lu Ming, the leader of the Dragon Alliance. Then, someone thought of even more. It turned out that the fatty, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and Zhuang Xiaoro's backer was Lu Ming. Could it be that their battle strength had suddenly increased because of Lu Ming? Ren Xinqing, what right do you have to be compared to my master? What's even more ridiculous is that you said that you're the #1 genius of the Divine Wilderness continent and that you've surpassed my master. Zhuang Xiaoshan looked at Ren Xinqing with disdain and sneered. He's just a piece of trash. What right does he have to be compared to Lu Ming? Lu Ming only taught me for a few months, and he couldn't even take one attack from me. What a piece of trash. The fatty mocked. Ren Xinqing's face turned ugly. Lu Ming could even kill a boundary emperor. His battle strength was extremely terrifying. Moreover, if what the fatty said was true, it would be even more terrifying. He only taught the fatty for a few months, and he could kill him in an instant. He was too far away from Lu Ming. Chapter 2183. When Lu Ming revealed his true form, the scene was in an uproar. There were only a few experts from the Yuan continent present. Most of them were from the Divine Wilderness continent. Lu Ming's status in the Divine Wilderness continent was too high. More than 10 years ago, Lu Ming had left the Divine Wilderness to cultivate in the Yuan continent. Now that he had returned, he had indeed displayed shocking combat strength. Greetings, Alliance Leader. At this moment, Xiao Wan, Xia Zhuyang, Yin Kuangtu, and the others bowed to Lu Ming. Greetings, Alliance Leader. Then, more people bowed to Lu Ming. When the Dragon Alliance ruled the world, they had countless members. There were a large number of Dragon Alliance members present. When they saw Lu Ming, they were extremely excited. Senior Xie, Senior Zhiyang, Brother Yin, Hua Qi, let's drink and chat after we deal with these people from the Yuan continent. Lu Ming spoke and nodded to Xiao Wan and the others. His words made the Sakura and the others' faces turn cold. Their bodies emitted a cold aura. Lu Ming, you have cultivated in the Yuan continent for some time and have made some progress. However, you are still far from being able to go against me alone. You must have someone supporting you. Call out the person behind you. The Sakura said coldly, I am dealing with you alone. Why would I need help from others? Lu Ming said faintly. Many people were stunned. Lu Ming was really going to deal with the Sakura alone? How is that possible? I can suppress you with a flip of my hand. The Sakura said coldly. His aura became even colder. Dong. Then, the Sakura took a step forward. That step caused the entire sky to explode. A terrifying pressure pressed down on the entire world. His body emitted endless golden light. He was like an invincible emperor overlooking the world. The pressure came in waves. It was too terrifying. Many people with insufficient cultivation immediately knelt down. It was difficult for them to resist. Many people roared. They were unwilling to kneel down and resisted with all their might. At this moment, the Divine Bull Palace Master and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master released their aura. It rippled out like water and reduced the pressure on the others. Many people let out a long sigh of relief before revealing looks of horror. Too strong. Sakura is too strong, completely unfathomable and unrivaled. Indeed, just the overflowing aura is enough to make me explode. How can there be such a strong person in this world? Lu Ming is finished. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to be Sakura's opponent. Many people were discussing. After sensing the overflowing aura of the Sakura, many people were alarmed by the Sakura's strength. They believed that Lu Ming was basically unable to contend against the Sakura. Although Lu Ming was a prodigy, he had only cultivated for a few years. How could he possibly fight against such a character? Insolent Sakura, you dare to attack me. At this moment, Lu Ming's loud shout reverberated throughout the entire area, leaving many people dumbfounded. Sakura himself was also taken aback. Why didn't he dare to attack Lu Ming? At this time, a token appeared in Lu Ming's hand, flashing with golden light. Sakura, why aren't you greeting me after seeing me? Lu Ming said coldly. Hunyuan Sect's Gold Inheritance Token. So you're the Hunyuan Sect's Gold Inheritor. Sakura's eyes shone with a bright radiance. It's good that you know. Lu Ming looked at Sakura indifferently, his face calm. When he became the Hunyuan Sect's Gold Inheritor, he received a name list. On the name list, Sakura was a Bronze Inheritor. No matter if it was a Bronze Inheritor or a Silver Inheritor, they had all sworn to obey the Gold Inheritor. Lu Ming took out the Gold Inheritance token now to see how Sakura would react. Sakura's face changed and then he laughed. Lu Ming, you're really funny. You actually want to use the Gold Inheritance token to suppress me. Don't you know that after reaching the Martial Emperor realm, you have the ability to resist oaths? Ordinary blood oaths can't do anything to me. Today, I'll kill you and take your Gold Inheritance token. Sakura laughed, full of ridicule. These people really don't follow the oath of that year. Lu Ming shook his head and kept the Gold Inheritance token. He didn't want to rely on the Gold Inheritance token to make Sakura submit. He just wanted to test it out. Boom. Sakura took another step forward, and the terrifying pressure became even stronger. Hua Qi, Xiao Wan, Xia Zhuyang, and the others were nervous. Fatty, Zhuang Xiaoro, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and the others were also nervous. Although they believed in Lu Ming, the other party was too strong, beyond their imagination. The alliance leader is very calm. He should be confident, Xiaowan said. With their understanding of Lu Ming, they knew that Lu Ming wouldn't fight a battle that he wasn't confident in. Now that he was so calm, he should have something to rely on. D-clan leader, leave this brat to me. I can feel that this brat's hands are stained with the blood of my clan. At this moment, an unusually burly figure stepped out from behind Sakura. This person was wrapped in heavy iron armor and was 4 meters tall. Lu Ming could see that this was a member of the evil god tribe. Although the aura emitted by this evil god tribe member wasn't as strong as Sakura, it was still terrifying. He was a 1-star Void Emperor expert. Sakura stopped in his tracks. Since there was someone to do it for him, he couldn't be bothered to do it. Brat, your hands are stained with the blood of my clan. Die. The evil god tribe expert held a spiked club in his hand and swept it out. Boom. The space exploded. The mace carried a terrifying power and blasted towards Lu Ming. What a terrifying power. Many people were shocked. Today was different from the past. Now, the space of the divine wilderness continent was incomparably stable. Everyone's flying speed was several times slower, let alone breaking through space. But now, the evil god tribe member's mace had blasted the space. It could be seen how powerful this attack was. Many people's hearts were in their mouths, worried for Lu Ming. But Lu Ming's expression was calm. He reached out a claw and grabbed outwards. A large hand formed and grabbed the mace. Bang! The mace struck the large hand, but the large hand didn't move at all. It grabbed the mace and then shook violently. Buzz! The mace shook violently. A terrifying power followed the mace and blasted out. The evil god tribe member let out a blood-curdling scream. The heavy armor on his body directly exploded. His arm also exploded, sending flesh and blood splattering everywhere. Die, Lu Ming said coldly. Then, with a shake of his hand, the huge mace flew back and collided with the evil god tribe member's body. Bang! The evil god tribe member's entire body exploded like a big watermelon. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, and his soul scattered. A 1-star Void Emperor Realm evil god tribe member was instantly killed by Lu Ming. The scene suddenly quieted down. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Just now, the aura that the evil god tribe member revealed was very strong. Although it couldn't be compared to Sakura, it was still very terrifying. To the people of the divine wilderness continent, it was an unfathomable and unrivaled existence. Chapter 2184. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in a daze. Huff, huff, huff. After a long time, many of them heaved a sigh of relief. Xiaowan and the rest of the Dragon League were overjoyed. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond their imagination. At this moment, Indra's eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. Lu Ming, it seems that I have underestimated you. You can actually kill a 1-star Void Emperor. Indra said coldly. However, he was still confident and wasn't worried. He was a 3-star Void Emperor. The difference between a 1-star Void Emperor and a 3-star Void Emperor was too big. He could easily kill a 1-star Void Emperor. He didn't think that Lu Ming could fight with him. Moreover, he could also see that Lu Ming hadn't broken through to the Void Emperor realm. He was just a quasi-emperor. How strong could a quasi-emperor be? How could he be a match for a 3-star Void Emperor? Lu Ming, let me end you personally. Indra's body emitted a cold killing intent again. His aura was monstrous. Kill. This time, Lu Ming directly attacked. He couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Indra and charged forward. Boom, 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 boom. In the process of rushing out, Lu Ming's aura was constantly exploding and rising. One law after another erupted. One after another, 5 laws erupted, forming a 5-colored law river. This is the law of primal chaos and the law of death. How is this possible? Impossible. This is impossible. In an instant, Indra's face changed drastically. He roared crazily as if he had discovered something unbelievable. Boom. Lu Ming struck out with his palm. Heaven and earth roared as it pierced through the space. Emperor's sword. Indra roared. At this moment, he was extremely frightened. He erupted with all his strength, hoping to block it. In that instant, Lu Ming erupted with 5 laws. 2 of them were the strongest laws and 3 of them were the Emperor Tao. It almost scared him to death. At this moment, the experts of the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace were almost scared to death. The people of the Divine Desolate Continent did not know how shocking Lu Ming's display of 5 nomological laws was. However, the people from the Yuan continent naturally knew. Waves of shock rose in their hearts. Dong! And at this time, Lu Ming and Sakra's attacks collided. Boom! Lu Ming's palm force landed on the Emperor's sword that Sakra had slashed out. Wong! The Emperor's sword vibrated crazily as if it couldn't bear the burden and finally exploded. Lu Ming's palms didn't stop. He continued to attack Di Shirtian's chest. Di Shirtian's chest was directly penetrated, and a hole appeared. The terrifying destructive power crazily rushed into Di Shirtian's body, destroying his life force. How is this possible? Blood kept gushing out of Sakra's mouth. His eyes were fixed on Lu Ming, still in disbelief. Until now, he still found it hard to believe that a person could control 5 nomological laws before breaking through to the martial emperor realm. 2 of them were the strongest laws. This simply broke his understanding of the martial Tao. In the next moment, the terrifying destructive power rushed into Di Shirtian's body. Di Shirtian's body exploded and turned into ashes. Even his soul was destroyed. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept Di Shirtian's storage ring. At this moment, the scene fell into dead silence. Countless people were dumbfounded as they looked at the scene with their eyes wide open. In their eyes, the supreme expert of the Yuan continent, the invincible Di Shirtian, couldn't even withstand one move from Lu Ming. He was killed in one move. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, it would be like a fairy tale. Master is invincible. Master is invincible. After a long while, Zhuang Xiaoshan and Zhuang Xiaorou finally reacted. They were so excited that their bodies trembled as they shouted, "Alliance leader is invincible." Then, the members of the Dragon Alliance also reacted and shouted crazily and excitedly. At this moment, Lu Ming was supreme and invincible in their eyes. Wave after wave of shouts shot up to the sky. Hua Qi, Shuelian, Xia Zhuyang, and the others were also trembling with excitement. As for the people of the Imperial race, Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace, their faces were pale. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the scene quieted down. Lu Ming turned around and looked at Ren Qianqing indifferently. "Didn't you want to crush me with one finger just now? Do it." Lu Ming said indifferently. Plop. Ren Qianqing's body went limp and fell to the ground. His face was pale, and he almost cried. Asking him to attack Lu Ming? Was he looking for death? Even Sakra wasn't a match for Lu Ming. In front of Lu Ming, he was simply an ant. Lu Ming could probably kill him with a single blow. Such a person wants to be on par with my master and even brags that he's better than my master. What a joke. Zhuang Xiaorou mocked. Many people also sneered. Indeed, Ren Qianqing wasn't qualified to be compared to Lu Ming. They weren't on the same level at all. Especially those who thought that Ren Qianqing had surpassed Lu Ming and thought that Ren Qianqing was the best in history. Their faces were flushed red, and they were too ashamed to show their faces. Ren Qianqing wasn't even worthy to carry Lu Ming's shoes. Legend. He's still a legend. An old man sighed. Everyone immediately nodded. They were touched. Yes, a legend was still a legend. Back then, Lu Ming was the legend of the Divine Wilderness continent. He rose from the wilderness and in the end, he was able to unify the Divine Wilderness. He was an unprecedented legend in the Divine Wilderness continent. Now, after cultivating in the Yuan continent for more than 10 years, his combat strength had reached an unimaginable level. Even someone as strong as Sakra was killed in a single move. Now, Lu Ming was still a legend. Let's go. At this moment, the people from the monarch race and the remaining people from the evil god tribe reacted. They all rushed into the sky, wanting to escape. You want to leave? All of you can stay here. Lu Ming said coldly and punched out. Roar! Roar! This punch was filled with endless runes. Then, the runes condensed into true dragons that pounced out with a roar. The monarch race's martial emperors had already been killed by Lu Ming. Those below the martial emperor realm couldn't even withstand a single blow. When the true dragons pounced out, regardless of whether they were martial emperors or absolute saints, they were all killed instantly. They couldn't resist. Screams rang out. Not long after, it quieted down. The experts from the monarch race and evil god tribe were all killed. Plop. At this moment, Li Ke directly knelt down and screamed, "Lu Ming, no, no, no. Alliance leader Lu, spare my life." Just now, his master had also been killed by Lu Ming. He was scared to death now. "Alliance leader Lu, spare me." Ren Qianqing also begged. "Fatty, Xiao Shan, Xiao Rou, I'll leave these people to you." Lu Ming said. "Okay." Fatty carried his battle axe and rushed out. "No, I don't want to die." Ren Qianqing roared and turned to run. Li Ke was the same. Chapter 2185. Now, everyone knew why the fatties, Zhuang Xiaoshan's, and the rest's combat abilities had skyrocketed. It was all because of Lu Ming. At the same time, everyone's respect for Lu Ming increased. In just a few months' time, Fatty, Zhuang Xiaoshan, and the others' cultivation had increased so much that they could easily crush Ren Qianqing and the others. It was unbelievable. They thought of that sentence again. Legend. He was still a legend. At this moment, Lu Ming looked at the Divine Bull Palace and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master. "Greetings, Alliance Master Lu." The Divine Bull Palace Master and the Barbarian Dragon Palace Master felt a chill run down their spines. They had an ugly smile on their faces as they came over to greet Lu Ming. Just now, they wanted to run away, but Lu Ming was too terrifying. Where could they run to? Lu Ming would probably catch up and kill them. Therefore, they decided to stay and show their goodwill to Lu Ming. "I'm curious, which part of Yuan continent are you from?" Lu Ming looked at the two palace masters. "Alliance Master Lu, I'm from the land of divine beasts." The Divine Bull Palace Master said, "I'm from Sky Barbarian Land." The Barbarian Dragon Palace Master said, "How did you get here? Why did you suddenly come to a remote place like the Divine Wilderness?" Lu Ming asked again. He was curious about this and wanted to find out. If they could come, others could come too. Lu Ming was worried about this. It would be troublesome if stronger existences, such as high-level void emperors or true emperors, came. "I once found an ancient map by accident. The ancient map recorded that there was a paradise in the barren land. The cultivation environment there was better than many sacred grounds in Yuan continent. I followed the map and found an ancient teleportation formation. That's how I came to the Divine Wilderness." The Divine Bull Palace Master said, "Me too." The Full Dragon Palace Master nodded, similar to the Divine Bull Palace Master. "Where's your map? Let me have a look." Lu Ming said. The Divine Bull Palace Master and Full Dragon Palace Master looked at each other, then each took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. The others sighed. They were the two overlords from Yuan land. Previously, they had occupied an area and were basically the rulers of the divine region. But now, they were like two servants who were trembling in fear in front of Lu Ming. The difference between before and after was simply too great. This made countless people sigh with emotion. Lu Ming took the two jade talismans and scanned them with his spiritual sense. Sure enough, they were two ancient maps. "Apart from you, no one else knows?" Lu Ming asked. "No, I didn't tell anyone. He only brought some of his subordinates to the Divine Wilderness." "Me too." Both of them shook their heads. The two of them were ordinary Emperor-class forces in the Yuan continent. They were similar to the Emperor clans. Lu Ming pondered. "Alliance leader Lu, since you're back, how about we split the Divine Wilderness equally with the Dragon Alliance?" The master of the Divine Bull Palace cautiously glanced at Lu Ming and suggested. Lu Ming smiled faintly and said, "You still want to divide the Divine Wilderness?" The master of the Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace master's faces turned ugly. In the end, the master of the Divine Bull Palace gritted his teeth and said, "Alliance leader Lu, I'm willing to join the Dragon Alliance and work for you." "I'm willing too." They had no choice but to lower their heads under the eaves. Now, they could only do so. Oh, join the Dragon Alliance? Lu Ming touched his chin and pondered. That's fine too. After a while, Lu Ming nodded. The master of the Divine Bull Palace and Full Dragon Palace master were delighted. A cold light flashed in the depths of their eyes. As long as they could keep Lu Ming calm, they would send people back to Yuan land and invite more experts. At that time, they did not believe that they could not kill Lu Ming. But at this moment, Lu Ming made his move. It was very sudden. The masters of the Divine Bull Palace and Barbarian Dragon Palace were not prepared at all. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming threw out 2 palm strikes, bombarding the two of them. Their bodies were directly penetrated. A terrifying destructive force crazily rushed into their bodies. The two of them opened their eyes wide and looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. I still believe in dead people. At the martial emperor realm, the power of oaths is already too weak. If you secretly return to Yuan land and find even stronger experts, wouldn't I be putting myself in danger? Therefore, you'd better be on your way. Lu Ming said coldly. After saying that, his palm strike exploded and the masters of the two forces turned into ashes. Let's go. The remaining people of the two forces were shocked. Some of them reacted and wanted to run away. Kill. After killing the masters of the two forces, Lu Ming did not stop and directly attack the masters of the two forces. These two forces had martial emperor realm experts, but they could not withstand a single blow from Lu Ming and were instantly killed. Then, those below the martial emperor realm did not escape and were all killed in the blink of an eye. This was a shocking scene. The three forces of Yuan land that had been dominating the divine wilderness for many years were turned into ashes because of Lu Ming's return. Greetings, Alliance Master. At this moment, everyone in the Dragon Alliance knelt down and paid their respects to Lu Ming. They understood that the Dragon Alliance was going to unify the divine wilderness again. No one could rival them. Those who were not part of the Dragon Alliance, or those who had betrayed the Dragon Alliance, were trembling in fear. From today onwards, the Dragon Alliance will be rebuilt and reorganized. Lu Ming's voice echoed throughout the place. Leave all of this to Xiaowan, Xiaojiyang, and the others. I will go and eliminate the remaining members of the three forces. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he took a step forward and rushed into the depths of the Dragon Emperor City. He spread out his spiritual consciousness to search for the remaining members of the Emperor race and Evil God race. Once he found them, he would kill them on the spot. After that, Lu Ming rushed to the eastern wilderness to kill the remaining members of the Divine Bull Palace. Then, he went to the southern underworld to kill the remaining members of the Barbarian Dragon Palace. After that, Lu Ming rushed out of the sea. The ancient teleportation array that was connected to the Yuanlu continent was not the only one in the ancient city of the Divine Ruins. There were also teleportation arrays in other continents. Lu Ming wanted to find all of them and destroy them to prevent more experts from the Yuanlu continent from coming. In the following month, Lu Ming traveled through the Divine Ruins and found more than 10 teleportation altars. All of them were destroyed by Lu Ming, leaving only the teleportation arrays that led to the Tsang continent, Cloud continent, and Emperor continent. At this time, the Dragon Alliance had been reorganized. Some of the people who had betrayed the Dragon Alliance because of the arrival of the Yuanlu continent's forces were killed. However, more people joined the Dragon Alliance. Now that Lu Ming had returned and killed the three forces of the Yuanlu continent, everyone was shocked. It could be said that the Dragon Alliance with Lu Ming was the true overlord. No one could shake them. Many experts joined the Dragon Alliance. The Dragon Emperor City was rebuilt again. When Lu Ming returned to the Dragon Emperor City, another huge statue of Lu Ming was erected. Compared to before, it was bigger and more majestic. After Lu Ming returned, he held a banquet and brought Li Ping, Lu Yuntian, and the others back to the Dragon Emperor City. After that, Lu Ming stayed in the Dragon Emperor City and took out a large amount of resources to give to Xiaowan and the others. Chapter 2186. After that, Lu Ming had Xiaowan, Hua Qi, Xiaojiyang, Yin Kuangtu, and the others enter the Great Pill Development Furnace to refine their spiritual bodies. The spiritual bodies of the Dragon Alliance's upper echelons were greatly strengthened, and their cultivation speed increased rapidly. Of course, Lu Ming also tempered Li Ping's and Lu Yuntian's bodies and upgraded their bloodline level. Their cultivation levels were also skyrocketing. The resources that Lu Ming brought back were too abundant, especially the Nirvana pills. Lu Ming bought a lot of them. The bloodlines of the Dragon Alliance's disciples increased rapidly, and they evolved continuously. In addition to the excellent cultivation environment, the strength of the entire Dragon Alliance was increasing rapidly. In the past, when the Divine Wilderness continent underwent a metamorphosis, the cultivation environment had changed drastically. However, they did not have any cultivation techniques or divine abilities, so it was difficult for them to increase their strength. But now, it was the real explosion. In order to obtain domain martial techniques, divine abilities, and various pills, more people joined the Dragon Alliance. The Dragon Alliance's influence expanded rapidly and covered every corner. Not only that, but Xiaowan and the others also sent out armies to conquer the other continents. The Divine Ruins continent was completely under the Dragon Alliance's control. Time flew and half a year passed. In this half a year, other than helping others refine their spiritual bodies, Lu Ming did not stop cultivating. He focused on comprehending the law of alchemy, and his understanding of the law of alchemy became deeper and deeper. Let's go to Nine Dragon City to take a look. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. After returning for so long, Lu Ming had not been to Nine Dragon City. He was very curious about what had happened there. Lu Ming tore through the air at an astonishing speed. Soon, he entered Eastern Wasteland and flew toward Nine Dragon City. The origin chi in Eastern Wasteland was even denser. Countless people were cultivating in seclusion in Eastern Wasteland. The closer he got to Nine Dragon City, the denser the origin chi became. What a strong killing intent. When he arrived outside Nine Dragon City, Lu Ming frowned. He could feel the killing intent in Nine Dragon City. In this kind of murderous aura, those who did not have a high enough cultivation base would not be able to survive in Nine Dragon City. Their minds would be affected by the murderous aura, and they might even go mad and die. Lu Ming felt that even a bright saint expert would find it difficult to gain a foothold in Nine Dragon City. One would need to be at least a great saint to gain a foothold. Currently, there was no one in the Nine Dragon City. The original residents of Nine Dragon City had long since moved out. I heard that the killing intent fluctuates. Every once in a while, it will disappear for a period of time. At that time, countless people will rush to Nine Dragon City to cultivate. Lu Ming muttered. He had heard of this long ago. No one knows why. However, this murderous aura did not affect Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming stepped out, entering the Nine Dragon City. In the past, there were 9 enormous dragon veins entrenched in the Nine Dragon City, and at the head of each dragon vein, there was a divine 9-dragon cauldron. 9 dragon veins, 6 on the outside and 3 in the middle. But now, there were only 3 dragon veins left in the Nine Dragon City. The 6 on the outside had already flown away. It was said that they flew into the middle of the 3 dragon veins in the middle and disappeared. Lu Ming went all the way to the center of Nine Dragon City. In the center of Nine Dragon City, there were 3 enormous dragon veins entrenched. The 3 dragon heads faced each other, and there was a large open space in the middle. Back then, the Emperor Sky Divine Palace was built in this location. But now, the Emperor Sky Divine Palace had long disappeared, and in its place was a huge cave. Lu Ming stood at the entrance of the cave and looked in. Inside the cave, there was a vast expanse of white mist. This was the result of Yuan Qi reaching a certain level of concentration. Extremely rich Yuan Qi continuously seeped out of the cave. Lu Ming looked carefully and realized that this should be a passageway, but he did not know where it led to. The rich origin Qi was surging from the opposite side. Moreover, the fluctuations of the laws were also coming from the opposite side, stabilizing the Divine Wilderness continent. At the same time, the rich killing intent was also emanating from the passageway. Roar. At this moment, a dragon roar resounded, shaking heaven and earth. Lu Ming was alarmed because this dragon roar came from one of the dragon veins. Roar. Roar. Then, the dragon roar continued, resounding through the sky. Then, The earth rumbled and shook. Lu Ming realized that one of the dragon veins was moving. Rumble. One of the dragon veins kept shaking, and in the end, it moved like a real dragon. The dragon vein, which was thousands of miles long, twisted and turned like a huge real dragon. In the end, it soared into the sky, and its roar resounded through the sky, spreading far and wide. At this moment, people outside Nine Dragon City could hear the commotion even though they were thousands of miles away. Nine Dragon City's dragon veins are acting strangely again. I guess another dragon vein is flying away. Every time a dragon vein flies away, the killing intent in Nine Dragon City will weaken rapidly. Let's go. We can enter Nine Dragon City to cultivate for a while and look for spiritual herbs and sacred herbs. At this moment, countless people rushed towards Nine Dragon City. Roar! Roar! In Nine Dragon City, the dragon vein shrank rapidly, and one could clearly see the Nine Dragons cauldron above the dragon vein. In the end, the dragon vein roared and rushed into the passage, disappearing from sight. Another dragon vein flew away. What is on the other side of the passage? Lu Ming was extremely curious and wanted to rush in to find out, but he held back in the end. What if he couldn't return after entering? He had just returned to the divine wilderness and didn't want to leave yet. Lu Ming planned to wait for a period of time until the divine wilderness's situation stabilized. Then he would leave and enter the passage to investigate. Right, let's take a look at the blood pool. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared. Not long after, he arrived at the blood pool. The blood pool was located on a cliff on a mountain. On one of the cliffs, there were 3 words, blood pool. Beside the 3 words, there was a platform that protruded from the cliff. Behind it was a cave, which was the entrance to the blood pool. Looking at the entrance of the blood pool, Lu Ming reminisced. Back then, not long after they arrived at Nine Dragon City, they were hunted down. Qinfei Ryu's cultivation was crippled, and he was seriously injured. They brought Qinfei Ryu to the blood pool, but later, a wisp of remnant soul in the blood pool took away Qinfei Ryu, and there was no trace of him until now. Today, Lu Ming was going to explore the blood pool. The blood pool contained a strong murderous aura and killing intent. Back then, Lu Ming couldn't go deep at all. Before Lu Ming went to the Yuanlu, he was able to kill a martial emperor with his cultivation. Lu Ming had also been to the blood pool once, but the blood pool was unfathomable. The deeper he went, the stronger the killing intent. Even with Lu Ming's cultivation back then, it was difficult for him to explore the bottom. But now, Lu Ming's cultivation was many times stronger than before, so Lu Ming wanted to explore it again. Lu Ming moved and entered the entrance. But once he entered, Lu Ming was stunned. Chapter 2187. There was not a single drop of blood in the blood pool. It had completely dried up, leaving behind only a pitch-black cave. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Could this be related to the change in heaven and earth? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Then, Lu Ming rushed into the cave and flew down. The cave was very deep. Lu Ming kept going down. After 100 miles, the cave slanted in one direction. That direction was clearly leading to the center of Nine Dragon City. Lu Ming kept flying. In the end, he saw a huge passageway. It was filled with dense white fog. Isn't this the passage in the center of Nine Dragon City? The blood pool is connected to the passage in Nine Dragon City. Could it be that Qinfei Ryu is in the depths of the passage, in another world on the other side of the passage? Lu Ming guessed. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and did not go in. He went back the way he came. Not long after Lu Ming returned to Nine Dragon City, he realized that the murderous aura in Nine Dragon City was getting weaker. He believed that soon, many people would rush into Nine Dragon City to cultivate. Lu Ming did not stay. He left Nine Dragon City and returned to the Imperial Dragon City. In the following days, Lu Ming would occasionally give public lectures. Countless people from the Dragon Alliance would come to listen to his lectures to improve their cultivation. At the same time, Autumn Moon would also give lectures occasionally. When everyone knew that Autumn Moon was also a martial emperor, the divine wilderness continent was shocked again. With the help of many resources, the Dragon Alliance had more and more experts. Everyone's cultivation was also getting stronger. There were constantly people breaking through to the martial royal realm and the saint realm. The main reason was that Lu Ming's resources were too abundant. In addition, Lu Ming also took out a large number of golden crow corpses and divine wolf corpses. These were the corpses of the Golden Crow clan and Heavenly Wolf Pagoda's experts. Many of them were absolute saints, empty emperors, and true emperors. The corpses of such experts would not deteriorate even after thousands of years. They would remain fresh. Of course, the spiritual essence of a god emperor's body was too strong. Everyone used the Golden Crow meat and divine wolf meat to make meat soup. Even so, it was still very nutritious. As long as they drank a bowl of it, they would be filled with spiritual essence. At the same time, Lu Ming would select some people to enter the mountain and river diagram and cultivate under the Enlightenment ancient tree. They would comprehend concepts and laws. In this way, his cultivation would increase very quickly. For example, the siblings Zhuang Shaoshan and Zhuang Xiaoro quickly reached the saint realm. Lu Ming's father was Lu Yuntian. Lu Ming had spent a lot of resources to make Lu Yuntian's cultivation skyrocket to the martial emperor realm. He was constantly moving towards the saint realm. Li Ping didn't possess any natural talent in cultivation, and she'd forcefully attained the domain enlightened spirit god realm with the help of Lu Ming's resources. So, even if she attained the martial monarch realm, she wouldn't be far away. The cultivation of Hua Qi and the others also skyrocketed. As for Xiaowan, Xia Jiyang, Yin Kuang-tu, and the others, their talents were very high to begin with. The fact that they were able to achieve so much in such an environment was enough to explain everything. Now, with the help of various conditions, their cultivation had also improved rapidly. As for Lu Ming himself, he didn't stop either. He had been comprehending the laws of alchemy. However, the further one cultivated the laws of alchemy, the slower the speed of improvement. Therefore, Lu Ming had comprehended a new kind of law, the law of tools. The three kinds of laws that had evolved from the path of inscription were the laws of formations, the laws of alchemy, and the laws of tools. Now, Lu Ming had comprehended all three kinds of laws. As for the other laws that had reached perfection, Lu Ming didn't bother about them for now. He focused on comprehending the laws of alchemy and the laws of tools. In the blink of an eye, it had been 2 years since Lu Ming returned to the divine desolate continent. In the past 2 years, the Dragon Alliance had been thriving and growing stronger. Lu Ming's cultivation had also improved significantly. The laws of alchemy had reached 90% mastery. The laws of tools had also reached 80% mastery. Lu Ming's combat strength had increased greatly compared to 2 years ago. It's time to make a trip to the eastern wilderness. I haven't seen senior sister Mulin's for many years. I wonder how she is now. On a mountain peak, Lu Ming looked at the eastern wilderness and muttered. Actually, he had wanted to see Mulin's for a long time. However, he had been hesitating previously. How could he not know Mulin's thoughts? Back then, Mulin's had avoided him. As for him, he didn't know how to face Mulin's, so he had never gone to see her. However, Mulin's had helped him a lot back then. If not for Mulin's recommendation, he wouldn't have been able to enter the Dtion Divine Guards back then, and he might not have been able to achieve what he had today. Now, he had made up his mind. Since he had returned, what was the harm in meeting him? Taking a step forward, Lu Ming headed towards the eastern wilderness. Soon, he arrived at the Mu family's residence. Lu Ming, brother Lu. When he arrived at the Mu family's residence, he saw Mu Zheng and Mu Xiuan. The two of them smiled and greeted Lu Ming. Then, he saw Mulin's father, Mu Tian, and Mulin's grandfather, Yin Lan. Senior Yin, Senior Mu. Lu Ming greeted them with a smile. Now, the eastern wilderness's earth qi was extremely rich. Even though they weren't very talented, their cultivation had skyrocketed. When they saw that Lu Ming didn't put on airs as the leader of the Dragon Alliance, they relaxed. They set up a banquet and chatted with Lu Ming. Senior Mu, is senior sister Mulin's here? Lu Ming asked. These words caused Mu Tian, Yin Lan, Mu Zheng, and Mu Shuyuan to fall silent. Lu Ming had a bad feeling. What happened to senior sister Mulin's? Lu Ming asked again. Sigh. That girl is too stubborn. Yin Lan suddenly sighed. Senior, What happened? Lu Ming asked. The bad feeling in his heart was getting stronger. That girl is too stubborn. She has always wanted to catch up to you and not be too far behind. But with her talent, how could she catch up to you? But this time, the change of the world gave her hope. Lu Ming, you should have been to Nine Dragon City, right? Yen Lan sighed and asked. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. After a while, the murderous aura in Nine Dragon City would weaken and people could enter. Whether it's origin chi or killing chi, they're all gushing out from that passage. Therefore, some people speculate that the other end of the passage must be a supreme holy land for cultivation. Some even say that anyone who can pass through the passage to the other side will be able to obtain a supreme opportunity. Yen Lan explained. Could it be? Lu Ming thought of something and his heart skipped a beat. That's right. That girl entered the passage alone and didn't come back. That was before you came back. Yen Lan sighed. Mu Tian and the others also sighed, saying that there was a supreme opportunity on the other side of the passage was just a legend. But Mullins wanted to seize this opportunity. She wanted to take a gamble. Otherwise, she knew that she would never be able to catch up to Lu Ming. She has been gone for almost 6 years. Mu Tian sighed. His eyes were filled with longing and worry. Senior Sister Mullins, why did you do this? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.